And we will just wait for the applicant, and I will get the question order list set up in the chat momentarily.
Just want to give a shout out to Ashley. Ashley is here madly texting the applicant and streaming at the same time.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what we do without her.
Hello?
Hi there. Is this
Hello,
Eamon?
Yeah, this is Ayman Muqtad from McTech Building and Design.
How are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Do you have everyone from your team here on the call?
Yeah, Perry should be joining us. Yeah, he's ready also to go.
Okay, I'm going to just hand it over to Craig. Craig's our chair this evening, and he will do a short introduction, and then he'll invite you to make a presentation.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, Craig?
Yeah, sorry, were we waiting for one more or no?
Yeah, Perry should be waiting for Ashley to text him. Like he's here.
There he is.
Okay, so welcome to the Edmonton Design Committee for the formal DP presentation of the 10729 96th Street project. We would like to remind you that this is a public meeting. We have all received and reviewed your submission package. Your team will have 10 minutes to present, and then we will go virtual roundtable of the committee members for questions. After the presentation, the committee will deliberate and respond to you in writing within 48 hours.
Perfect.
I will now turn it over to you to introduce your team and your project.
Sure. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, gentlemen and ladies. So all members of the Edmonton Design Committee. So yeah, my name is Ayman Al-Muqtad. I'm presenting on behalf of McTech Building and Design, Ltd. And I'd like to start the introduction to our team joining me today. Perry Bigidron from Landiv Architectural. So he's with us right now. So together, both him and I will be sharing this presentation and walk you through our proposal for a new office development at 10729 96th Street, located in the heart of the Kali neighborhood. This project presents an opportunity to activate a currently vacant site and deliver a context-sensitive, well-designed office building that supports the ongoing revitalization of the Church Street. So I didn't see I don't know, let me see where the presentation is. Maybe I opened the, where's the presentation? It didn't show. Did you share the presentation with me?
Sorry, are you able to share your screen with your presentation, or would you like administration to show it on the screen?
Administration, if it's okay, administration can share the presentation.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you. Just let us know when you want to advance the slide.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. So yeah, I did the introduction. We can go to the next slide, please.
No, the previous slide, sorry.
No, the previous one, yeah. The first one is already done. The previous one, yeah, this one. Okay. As you see for this from this slide, it shows that the site location and the development context of this project. So this project site is located in within the Macaulay neighborhood. This area is a historically and culturally significant area. It is just northeast of the downtown Edmonton. The site fronts onto 96th Street and flanks to 107A Avenue. It's designated under the DC-1 by law 17918 zoning, a direct control provision crafted specifically to preserve and enhance the characters of the Church Street. So while allowing the compatible new development, so our proposal aligns with the framework, introducing a modestly scaled commercial building that complements the surrounding context. Yeah, you see that from the Google map that shows that the location of the site. The next slide, please. We'll go with Perry.
Thank you very much, Ayman. The proposal is closely aligned with the direction set out in both the Central District Plan and the Edmonton City Plan, which together guide growth in a way that is compact, connected, and climate resilient. From a policy perspective, this proposal supports several key goals. Firstly, it supports strategic infill along established corridors. The site is located within a designated growth area that encourages the reuse of underutilized parcels in established neighborhoods. Like we saw previously, the site is currently a vacant site, and this development aligns with this vision in city plan. Also, it advances the 15 minutes community concept by introducing employment opportunities close to where people live, reducing the reliance on vehicles and enabling a more walkable urban lifestyle. In addition, it supports efficient use of existing infrastructure, including the roads, the transit network, utilities, which reduces environmental footprint and the long-term servicing cost for the city. By delivering a modestly scaled street-oriented office building, this proposal helps reinforce the character and the vibrancy of the Macaulay neighborhood while supporting Edmonton's broader goals for sustainable urban growth. Next slide, please. Macaulay is one of Edmonton's most culturally rich and historically significant neighborhoods, known for its diversity, walkability, and vibrant local businesses. The area features a blend of residential, commercial, and institutional uses, with key cultural destinations such as Chinatown, Little Italy, and the iconic Church Street corridor, which gives this part of 96th Street its unique identity. The neighborhood is also characterized by a fine-grained urban fabric, smaller lot patterns, pedestrian-scaled buildings, and a mix of heritage architecture alongside the new developments. Our proposal responds directly to this context, introducing a building scale and massing that complements surrounding development, while the material palettes and facade articulation takes cue from the existing character of the neighborhood. At the same time, the project introduces a contemporary commercial use that brings new activity to the area, supporting local businesses, encouraging foot traffic, and contributing to the broader revitalization efforts already underway within Macaulay. Next slide, please. The site is well situated within Edmonton's multimodal transportation network. It is within walking distance from the Stadium LRT station and is served by several bus routes. The site connects directly to pedestrian priority corridors and existing bike routes identified in the bike plan and the Central District Plan. Vehicular access has been located at the rear of the site to minimize conflict along the public street edge. On-site bicycle parking has been incorporated to support active transportation and enhance the site's functionality. Next slide, please. The site is compact, approximately 307.5 square meters, and is regulated by the direct control zoning provisions specific to church streets. These DC regulations establish the following development parameters: a maximum building height of 16 meters, floor area ratio of 1.3, setbacks of 4.5 meters at the front, 7.5 at the rear, and 1.2 at the sides. Next slide, please. The design prioritizes clear pedestrian linkages and connections throughout the sites. Next slide, please. The building is oriented to reinforce the existing pedestrian network providing direct connections to surrounding sidewalks and strengthening walkability in the area. Next slide, please. Large windows and well-defined entrances create visual connection and activity along both 96th Street and 107A Avenue, contributing to a safe and welcoming public realm. Landscape features such as bike racks, and side furnishing further support pedestrian movement and encourage active use of the sites. Next slide, please. Lighting has been designed following septet principles with energy-efficient wall-mounted fixtures placed strategically to improve visibility and safety while minimizing light spill onto adjacent properties. Vehicular access, loading, and garbage collection have been located at the rear of the site to maintain a strong pedestrian focus along the public frontages. The architecture balances a contemporary expression with contextual sensitivity, using materials, scale, and detailing that complements the Macaulay neighborhood while delivering a functional and adaptable commercial building. Next slide, please. The material palette for the building has been carefully selected to balance durability and visual interests, ensuring that the building integrates well within the Macaulay neighborhood while maintaining a contemporary expression. The north elevation facing 107A Avenue features a combination of veneer stone and horizontal siding, materials chosen for their texture, warmth, and durability. In addition to providing visual interest, the elevation also includes pedestrian access into the building, helping to activate this portion of 107A Avenue and contributes to the walkability and vibrancy of the site's frontage along these streets. The west elevation, fronting directly onto 96th Street, will serve as the building's main entrance. This facade has been designed with a higher level of articulation and material variation to create a welcoming pedestrian-friendly entrance. Window placement, framed openings, and facade detailing help to reinforce visual interest and animate the public realm. The overall architectural approach focuses on simple, clean lines with a restrained but thoughtful material palette that is durable, low maintenance, and appropriate for Edmonton's climate and Macaulay's heritage context. Next slide, please.
Okay. Thank you, Perry. So just to summarize because the time is very limited, so for the final minute. In a summary, this proposal represents a sensitive and strategic infill development for Macaulay. One that respects the area rich history while contributing to its ongoing evolution. The building has been thoughtfully designed to enhance the streetscape, support local business activity, and strengthen the pedestrian environmental along with the Church Street. So basically, this is like just very brief presentation, and we appreciate the committee time and consideration today. And we welcome your feedback as we will continue to refine this proposal and work collaboratively to deliver a project that aligns with the vision for Macaulay and the broader objectives of the city plans. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. We will now transition to the roundtable portion of the meeting. And the first one on the list is Kevin. Kevin, can you start us off, please?
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. My first observation of the proposal is that the building feels very residential by design rather than kind of expressing its commercial or office uses. Examples include like the choices for windows and glazing and doorways, I'm just wondering whether the team explored other options for kind of the architectural detailing and things like glazing and doorways to make it feel more like a commercial building on the corner of these two streets rather than blending in as kind of a trying to feel like a residential building.
Thank you for that question. I can respond directly to that and say that the design choices that we made were very intentional. The DC zoning that is in place speaks to maintaining the character, the heritage character. So heritage character was a big design philosophy for us. And rather than slap a modern contemporary office building, we wanted to maintain and align with the DC regulations that spoke to the heritage character of the neighborhood. So I completely get what you were saying, but our hands were kind of tied by the regulations in the DC.
Okay. I appreciate the sentiment. And I will allow my colleagues to expand upon this if they choose to. That's all that I have for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Karen?
Hi there. Thanks for the presentation. Yeah, I kind of echo Kevin's thoughts on just the reading as a more residential than commercial. Yeah, pretty much captured all those thoughts. I do have one question though. Why would you have put the garbage collection on the street? Why would you not put that off the better access off the alley? And I don't know, that's just that alcove sort of on 107A there. Seems like an unfortunate use of street frontage.
Can I ask administration to show the site plan slide deck? Thank you so much. So while the Molochs, so first of all, thank you for that question. We have used Molochs, and Molochs are kind of, how do I say this? Molochs are aesthetically approved or aesthetically appealing, and it doesn't give a sense of a nasty garbage enclosure. So part of the design considerations for the Molochs was that we tried to do it the other way, but with truck turning movement, with garbage collection. At the DP stage, we had to do a swept path showing the truck turning movement, and the Moloch solution was the only solution that worked. I recognize the point that it is fronting onto 107A, but the Moloch system has been widely used throughout Edmonton. It is widely accepted. It's visually appealing, and it doesn't come off as a visual nuisance, if you get what I mean. I hope I was able to answer that question.
Yeah, it just seems like you could get a lot more street frontage, but I guess there's other considerations you need to work with and mitigate as. So yeah, that's really about it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Greg?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. Always good to see a vacant lot get filled. I have a few comments. I'll reiterate what Kevin had said. When I first glanced at this before I read into it, it certainly appeared as like a residential building. It didn't give very many commercial features to me, and I do understand it's offices, but there's limited glazing on the main level, so this interactivity with the street I don't think is as present as might have been presented. And when I think about like the character, so you're talking about maintaining the character of the neighborhood, I think you're only analyzing the character of the residential to the south of this property and then just kind of blending in there. But when I think about Macaulay, there's other areas like Little Italy and Chinatown that all have a much more commercial look to them when you go down those streets. Now I know you're not necessarily connected to those, but down to the east you've got the school that uses a lot of brick and other materials. But I think you've adopted the residential materials and character versus the commercial aspects of the neighborhood. So my recommendation would be to consider a pallet maybe closer to other commercial buildings within the neighborhood and try to improve streetscape connectivity with more windows or connection to the street. The other piece I see about this, two other things, is the interaction with the street is really just an extension of the sidewalk. So there isn't much brevity between the sidewalk and the building. It's just kind of butt up right up against it. So without that visual interest on the exterior elevation of the building, it does feel quite stark. And then the final question, it would be, it's just like, I would really like to see how the signage looks on this building for this space. You know, I've seen in the presentation, there was a block that just said signage, but, you know, seeing in the presentation, there's also these lights that could be color changing, and then we don't see the signage. It's hard to interpret what this would actually look like once it's become occupied. And I think that's missing for me to really evaluate its success at a prominent corner. Well, maybe not prominent corner, but a corner that is quite visible. So those are my my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Mindy.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much for your presentation. I had the same comment as many of my colleagues about the residential design, which has obviously already been addressed, and definitely agree with Greg's comments about rethinking this. I find it reads a little bit visually confusing for me within this context, so thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Raj, you're up.
Yeah, hi. I just have a question regarding parking. Like, how does what is the plan? I see a disabled parking lot and then some loading zone.
Thank you for that response. So we have provided a disabled parking spots, and visitors and staff and other members of the public coming to the building will utilize on-street parking. Like you might be aware, Edmonton zoning bylaw no longer regulates parking. We are in the era of open option parking. Kind of like to just cut the red tape and break those barriers for new developments to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Yeah, and I mean, I understand the committee, everyone's saying, hey, it looks residential, even though it's commercial. And so, yeah, we get it. I think the issue that I see, though, is because of this residential design approach, dealing with, as I guess is more of an architectural comment, but dealing with the kind of storm drainage on the roof and having these eaves that I think potentially they extend into the setback, which I think is an issue, but also thinking about like where are the downspouts. And so like, I don't, it's not really clear on the renderings where those would be. And then typically for a house, you would just have a side yard and a front yard, and you could just have downspouts dumping water into those side yards. But here, you're directly flanking a sidewalk on 107A Avenue. And so where are these downspouts going to be located? Are they just like, I can't imagine how, you know, that with this interaction between 107A Avenue and the kind of residential frontage of this commercial building would look like, because there is no side yard or front yard, which is characteristic of a residential building. So I find that to be problematic, and I feel like that could have been better addressed with a development that maybe looked more commercial, but it kept the kind of heritage character and elements of a building for this neighborhood. And so, you know, high quality materials, things like, you know, like brick, you know, not vinyl siding. You know, this is what you would expect to see in more of a residential area, but not a more kind of heritage sensitive area. And I think it's something that'll come up quite a bit as well as just understanding that interface with 107A Avenue and what is the building giving back to 107A Avenue? It just kind of terminates with no landscaping or any kind of, I guess, like ornamentation for the public realm there, which is a bit concerning from my side. Again, because if this was a house, there would be like a grassy side yard that's landscaped, but it's not a house. So what do we do to help benefit that public realm along 107A Avenue?
Yeah,
Thank
go ahead.
you. Thank you for that question. You raised very valid comments. Just to go back to the conversations that we had with the development officers and city administration during the DP process, like you might be aware, Building Great Neighborhoods is coming into the area, and on the western front, while we have limited setbacks, we were explicitly instructed to have like a concrete hard surfacing area. Due to the work that Building Great Neighborhood is doing as well, we were instructed to have hard surfacing area on the north side. Considering the size of the site, we were really constrained by the sites, and on a small site like this, there is so much that you can do to bring in all these urban design elements and all these elements that we would love to see. If this was a much larger site, I absolutely agree with you. We can push and pull and play with several design elements. But due to the small size of the site, our hands were tied. It was very constrained. And yeah, I think that's where I would leave it as. Thank you.
Is that it, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I get that comment. I'm just curious if you had a response on, because of all of your roof pitches, how you're dealing with the storm drainage, considering there aren't any downspouts.
Thank you for that. There will be downspouts. Downspout has not just been shown right now on the DP drawings. When we proceed to the building permit stage and we develop more detailed design drawings, we will be going further into details and showing those elements. To touch back on the DC regulations, the DC regulation specifically called for this type of roof. The DC regulation sets a certain parameter for the roof pitch. So even if we wanted to go with a flat roof, modern commercial styled concept that everyone has been referring to, I want to state categorically that we will be unable to do that because our hands are tied by the regulations in the direct control zone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Neil?
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. I gotta say, you're saying all the right things. I gotta say, though, I'm looking at this project and I don't see it, right? I even if you were to, your hands are tied by the DC, referring to the Macaulay area, this doesn't fit that even as a residential building. And as an office building, it absolutely needs more interface with the street, particularly since you're filling the site so much. So I'm not going to add anything more than what my colleagues have said, but other than this one really, I think, would have benefited from an informal. And I think we could have given you a little bit more support to make your case to the development officer to get a little more lenience within the DC if you felt that's what was constraining you. I don't think that it is. I think you could absolutely do this differently, but I would highly recommend an informal for this type of project on a street as significant as 96. Thank you so much. I'll pass it along.
Thank you, Neil. To you, David.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. I would agree with the other members of the committee with regards to the visual aspects of the building being much more residential looking than commercial. I also agree with Karen's comments about the location of the Molochs, because yes, they're very appealing once they first go in, but over time they do deteriorate, and over time, it's hard to maintain all the garbage in those molochs. So typically, there's a lot of mess and garbage that ends up spilling all around those things. So I do have a couple of questions, and it directly relates to the information that was provided in your package. In your package, you talk about the main floor, building facade, and concrete perimeter walk, fostering a dynamic and engaging streetscape and vibrant public realm, and an interaction between the built environment and the pedestrian experience. But when I look at the design, I see no real indication of typical components that would, create that engaging streetscape and vibrant public realm. Like very little landscape, very little site furniture, features, or even surface patterning that sort of support that design intent. So, could you explain to me how you got your proposed development is meeting the statement within your document?
Thank you for that response. Thank you for that response. It's a valid comment as well. Like we have on the screen right now, we are providing those pedestrian linkages to create that connection, to activate that corner of 107A. While this is not the highest and the best and the greatest, I believe it is something that is functional. It is something that works. If this was to be another site, if this was to be a larger site, we would happily throw in design elements that would meet the criteria that you were looking for. Just to reiterate, this is a small site. I don't want to repeat myself and talk about all the constraints in the DC, but we were severely constrained by the direct control zone. Ask me the question, is it functional? I would say yes. Does it activate 107A? To some degree, I would say yes. I think that's my response to your question. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I do find, providing that type of statement, and what's being presented in plan and in your perspectives, I would suggest that it's something that could be looked at a little bit further and further enhanced. The other question I had was with regards to sort of the graphics. Is the main floor actually flush with the surrounding sidewalks? Because in everything I've seen, I see a step up to the main floor.
No, it's a flush.
It's flush. Okay, thanks. And then the hard surface connection to 99th Street, I like, this is actually, having this site plan is really good. Like when I look, there seems to be a lot of existing streetscape infrastructure. So there's an existing elm tree, there's power box, there's traffic light posts. Like, given all of that clutter that's there, and it's not really shown on your site plan, I'm just wondering, and that's sort of the main entrance that's proposed into the building, that if it might not be better to make that main entrance off 107A Avenue, because I'm not too sure how you're navigating around all of the stuff that exists on that corner.
Thanks for that question. The existing tree on the site will be removed.
That's on city property though, right?
That is on private property.
Yes, it's in the property.
It's on private property.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. That's all my questions. Thanks.
Thank you, David. That leaves me. I don't know if I have too much more to say than what everyone has mentioned. I will briefly mention the Moloch's position again, and while I understand the swept path analysis was probably the limiting factor, the one thing that I want to talk about is the position of the accessible parking lot, and thinking about the path of that person coming up and around all the way to the front of the building on 96th or on 107th. I think that's another unfortunate instance of that whole backside of the building being flipped. To me, it just feels flipped the wrong way. But that's about it on that. The other thing, I do understand the what you said about the residential aspect versus the commercial aspect. I think there's still ways that you can engage, especially 107th. If I'm thinking more of like a Main Street condition, generally we want to see a lot more glazing. Those skirt roofs, one of them aligns to an entrance, one of them does not. So it seems a little haphazard in the way that the detailing has occurred. I think there are opportunities, while keeping a pitched roof and while keeping a residential character, for that ground floor to be much more inviting and open, having eyes on the street. Yeah, I think that's about all my comments. I think the rest of the committee has echoed many of what I would say. So that's all I have. So thank you for bringing this before the Edmonton Design Committee. At this time, we will transition into deliberations. Feel free. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just I want to mention to the point you have mentioned in the barrier-free accessibilities, where the parking spot is in the back. We still have that access from the rear door. So their door is accessible for barrier-free. It's accessible from the parking spot from the back. You can go through the main floor easily through whenever you get to the small ramp to the sidewalk. Then you are flush with the main floor, and there is access from the back to the main floor store area or whatever the business area.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I must have overlooked that. Just didn't see it on the site plan in front of me. But yeah. So
thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you. Again, thank you for bringing this before us. We're going to transition into deliberations. Feel free to stay on the meeting, but we ask that you do not participate in the deliberations.
Yep. Thank you very much for having us. And we hope we can get your feedback, like written report soon.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, who wants to kick us off? I took some quick notes. I think it's pretty apparent to us that we had some concerns with the residential feel of it versus being commercial. I think specifically how it interacts with 107th. I think Greg, you had mentioned you had said it really well. More windows to the street, more streetscape connectivity. Thoughts? Anyone?
I feel like we need to elaborate a bit on the residential comment, because I feel like my understanding from the applicant side is that, you know, they've designed it to be residential, thinking it's a good thing and thinking it's meeting all of the guidelines of the direct control. And so if we just say the current building design is residential looking, it's kind of like, okay, so what? I think that's we need to kind of make sure that we are clearly articulating why that is not working for them.
And I think some of the things we talked about were the lack of signage or an understanding of where the signage would be. I think we talked about the amount of glazing. What else do we have here? It just doesn't, I wouldn't know to stop there. It wouldn't feel welcoming in a sense, right? Like it feels private.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think of the elements that cause me to feel that it's private. And I don't necessarily think it's the pitched roof, the main pitched roof. I think it's more of the skirt roof. I think it's more of
Mhm.
the doors, the lack of I guess I don't know what the ultimate occupation of this building is going to be. It's not like it's a storefront, but maybe in my head that's kind of what I'm looking to see is some regularity of glazing and door that tells me it's okay to go in that door, because right now, even with some signage, I don't know if it'd feel okay to go in that door. Anyone else?
I don't know. This might be a bit off topic, but to me, if this was going to be commercial, I would almost read this as a bit of a live work scenario potentially. That would be how I would kind of see its most efficient use, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
I don't know, little off maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
I think residential building design leaves a lot of kind of blank or inactive facades on it, right? So it goes back to the window comment. I don't think it's really activating the street all that much. It's, to Karen's point, it is a live work, or very well could be.
Mhm.
And I just don't feel like it's contributing to the urban realm in its current state.
Maybe some windows or something on that alcove might help a little bit, considering that is the street frontage side. Maybe.
Peter?
Would it help if we put the package back up on the screen for people to?
Yeah, me.
Okay.
I mean, going back to what we always say, it's always more than just the building, it's the space around the building. And we have very little space around this building.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the original comment I had made where you're trying to fit kind of this residential design into a commercial setting that has, very little setback from the property line. There isn't, big grassy side yard that you would see, if this was a house out in a neighborhood. This is directly fronting onto 107A Avenue with no landscaping.
Yeah. One of the things I found lacking in the presentation, it was a main floor plan. And I know we often get floor plans and I don't give them much thought usually in a package, right? It's great. It's the main floor plan. I'm not trying to look at too much what's going on inside the building, but I think having a main floor plan of this one would have helped us kind of maybe understand some of the choices they've made on why that exterior, and I keep focusing on the one along 107th myself. You know, I think the one along 96 is maybe okay. It's to me, it's 107 that's the issue, being that it's an arterial.
I second that.
I think, I guess from my perspective, I find it hard to understand the functionality of this building. Like to your point, without a floor plan, as well as what office, what is that we're looking here? Is it like a law office, or is it storefront? It looks like a residential building for sure. But is it the structural thing, or would it be like if they had more glazing on the ground floor and first floor levels, would that change the characteristics
Well,
while maintaining the structural, like, you know, the core structure? I think that seems to be okay, but it's just the outside appearance. Like, I'm not an architect, but it just feels odd.
Well, to me, that's some of it. To me, it's like those two doors on 107th. I have no idea kind of how they relate to anything. And when I say it, kind of I wouldn't feel safe going in there. Not that I wouldn't feel safe. It'd feel out of place. Like there's no kind of regular commercial cues that tells me that it's okay to go in those. And if those are just exit doors, I mean, if you need them for code exiting, that's one thing. I can't comment on that. But if we had twice as amount of windows on that main floor on that side without those doors, then it would start to read a little different, I think, kind of everything else aside. But it's hard to know if this is going to be one tenant, two tenants, how it's going to be subdivided. Is it going to be subdivided? What else did we talk about? What did we think of? What did we think of the answer on the Mollux position? That seemed to be something that everyone gravitated towards. Was the swept path analysis answer sufficient?
No. It doesn't make sense to me. So at all. So I would say no. So, and as I said, like those Morlocks look great when they first go in, but with the types of things get dumped in there, and if it's not cared for, that ends up along the frontage. And as I said, over time, with wear and tear, those Morlocks aren't as attractive as the first day that they went in. So I think they could have easily moved those and sort of adjusted the loading zone, adjusted the barrier-free parking, and still provided enough turning for any type of service vehicle. And most of these are not, you know, front loaded systems. They are basically a cherry pick that hauls the bag out of those Morlocks. So, you know, you don't really need to be driving straight up to it. You can actually pull up beside it and basically haul that garbage out. So, yeah.
That was my thought as well. Do you need a loading spot to pull in, or are they picking this up in the lane? And I don't have a set of drawings open to kind of double check those details, right?
No, that truck could pull into the lane and basically pick up the garbage anywhere on that site. So you don't even really need a dedicated loading unless you have, some form of major sort of commercial enterprise that has a lot of, goods being delivered on a daily basis, right? So, but anyway, it's just not a right location for those items, those Molochs.
Sorry, administration. I'm trying to scan my inbox to see. Have you sent the link to the shared document yet? The comments template.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've been busily.
Okay. Sorry. Give me a minute to get that open. Are we moving towards a motion?
I'll make a motion of non-support.
I'll second.
Okay, we're just going to flip it on the screen here momentarily.
Sorry, who made that? It was
Neil and David.
David seconded.
Yep.
Yeah. Feel free to provide some specific examples on building facade modifications. So those are the only things that I had sort of heard and recorded.
Anything else that we're missing? Through my notes. Maybe we want to talk about signage somewhere.
Would that be part of the, for example?
First bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So oh.
Oh.
It's okay. All right. I'm deleting.
Okay. I look at my fingers when I type clearly, huh? Someone mentioned materiality, Jonathan. Did they have a material palette in this? Did they call, you mentioned vinyl siding. Did they call up vinyl siding?
They did have it in their elevation. They had kind of just some keynotes, vinyl siding, trim, wood grain vinyl siding. Yeah.
Would it be worth to mention something like a fiber cement siding for more durability, at least?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I guess it goes back to the, oh, Peter.
No, sorry, as you're talking, we're going to just flip back to the presentation for a sec so we can just give you that information on the keynotes.
Yeah, it's
You just need to really zoom in there if you can.
yeah, it's just kind of your standard issue suburban residential palette. So I think we could probably include that in the comment.
Okay. That's as much as we can zoom in, unfortunately, on this end.
And I have it on another window here. It's calling up vinyl siding, natural stone veneer, wood grain vinyl siding.
Okay. We're just trying to help. We'll go back to the letter.
Do we think that would be part of the first bullet, zone bullet?
I think it could go, yeah, I think the first one focuses on the residential aesthetics. So yeah, we could probably comment on the higher quality materials there.
We're working on the letter, sorry. Just having a little technical glitch here.
I feel like, I mean, even the kind of ledge stone, rundle stone, whatever kind of that they're using, that veneer is, I think the character of this neighborhood would prefer brick, but I don't know how much too into detail we want to get.
You want me to project it?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. All good. Here we go. All right, we're back. Sorry.
Yeah, something like that.
The neighborhood, kind of sneaking in brick. I can't remember who said that. Kind of about the context was, the immediate context and not the larger context of the neighborhood. I thought that was a good point.
Yeah, that was me, Craig. It seems like they adopted the exterior aesthetic of the residential street to the south, as opposed to widening out the aesthetic range. Like when you go to some of the adjacent streets, a lot of brick seems to be more common than stone. The stone is in the residential neighborhood. Like plinths around the bases of the building. I think it's caught. And no, I guess it's not caught, but you see a plinth on a lot of these commercial buildings up to 1 meter height.
It seems like they do have a fairly substantial plinth, but yeah, I agree. Kind of the ledge stone is definitely a different feel than a brick or a smooth panel.
No, fair point. Yeah, there's a plinth right around here.
And then just the comment on the, oh, no, it's there. Never mind. I was going to say the informal, but we got that there. So that's good.
Do we want to take this highlighting off?
Go for it. I left it on there just so that
Oh,
we could add some more for examples. And Peter has his hand up.
Oh, sorry about that. It shouldn't be.
how's the language look in administration?
It looks good, actually, but I will take the opportunity, since I have my hand up, to just remind everyone, because it's a motion on support. When you do call for the vote, please just answer yes or no. It'll make it easier for us to keep track of who's on what side.
Yes to non-support?
Do you support the motion, yes or no?
Perfect, thanks.
I would suggest that we're probably ready to
Sure.
vote on this.
Yeah, I think so.
All good. Okay. In the same order as the question order, that's to you, Kevin. And the motion of non-support.
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mindy,
Yes.
Raj,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Craig, yes. Grab my, give me 1 second. Okay. Next item on the agenda, other business, D1 work plan.
Yeah, thanks very much. You'll all know that we have a special meeting booked for next Tuesday on the 22nd to go over the deliverables for this year's work plan. That includes the standards and procedures and the submission guide. So I hope you all between, you've had it for a week or so now, so I hope you have a chance to go through it. I think we've done a good job of trying to highlight where the most recent set of changes are. We do have a little bit of time if anyone has any burning questions about what they're looking at or is unclear of anything that we can answer to help you do that review. But other than that, that's really the point I'd like to make here tonight. So if you do have any questions, please let us know, whether it's in this meeting or separately. Okay. Hearing none. If you don't mind, Craig, I think under other business, the other thing that we want to just mention quickly is that we're rapidly coming up to the end of the term. And we have a new term starting on the 6th of May, I believe. And we have, what, one new person?
Yeah, one new.
So a couple of things are going to happen on the first meeting of the next term. One will be onboarding of that person. And we don't know who it is yet. And so what we're going to do just to assist in that is we're going to send out the onboarding documents here in the next day or so. And if time permits, at our special meeting on April 22nd, next Tuesday, if there is anything you'd like to sort of point out or propose we change or strengthen to assist with onboarding, we'll have an opportunity to talk about that. And then the last piece of the puzzle is that on the 6th of May, we'll do an election call, because on May the 20th, we'll actually have elections for the next term. So that's our other business.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And so maybe the one thing we should do, and we didn't do it because we do have another meeting next week, but we should maybe talk about the May 6th meeting in terms of projects. So we do have 4 projects scheduled right now, which is a lot more than you folks are used to. I don't know if that's a sign of things to come, but it is what it is. Do we have a list of the projects?
Yeah. Is it okay if I share up the booking sheet?
I think so. Okay. I think that's okay.
Sure, I'll do that.
Just make sure there's no contact information.
Sounds good. I'll just
okay. Can you copy it and put it into the agenda? Okay, we're just going to do a little magic here, because obviously we're sensitive about information. So we're just going to paste into the agenda the 4 projects. I don't think, from what I know about the projects, there's any conflict, but just in the interest of transparency, the sooner we know there's a conflict, the better. So we'll just take a moment to paste that in. Do we know if there are any regrets for the May 6th meeting while we have you all here?
I have to teach a course at 6, so I'll be there for the first 2 hours. Partial regret.
Yeah, okay.
I just regret that I can't attend twice.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to be an interesting one.
Mhm. I don't know if any of those projects look familiar to anybody.
And these are all projects again that haven't come for an informal.
That's correct.
All of those formal ones.
That's not correct.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Rhodium came.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, it was the one on Saskatchewan Drive. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sorry.
But it came. It was that curvilinear one on the corner of 104 or whatever in Saskatchewan Drive. So yeah. So it's been.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
There's another project there we're almost certain came for a informal, but we can't be certain. Anyway, those are the 4 projects. All right, should we go back to the agenda?
Sure.
If you have it handy, or otherwise I can do it.
Yeah, no, I've got it here.
Okay. All right. Well, I think, Craig, it's back to you for item
Thank
F.
you. We move to adjournment. We will adjourn this meeting at 5:23 p.m. Their next meeting next week, or a special meeting.
Perfect.
April 22nd at 4 p.m.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you all.
See you all.
Good night.
Good night.